Imagine the softest sheets you've ever felt. Now imagine them getting even softer over time. I'm here to tell you about Boll & Branch sheets. In a recent customer survey, 96% replied that Boll & Branch sheets get softer with every wash. They're made from the rarest organic cotton and designed to get even softer over time. Try their sheets with a 30-night guarantee plus 15% off your first order with code Odyssey. So head to BOLLandbranch.com today. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
Welcome to the Powercat Podcast, GoPowercat.com's Kansas State Athletics Show. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, from the GPC studios, here's your host, GoPowercat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to the Powercat Postgame Review Podcast, brought to you by Caddyshack Golf. I am GoPowercat publisher Tim Fitzgerald as we take a look back at Kansas State's 34-17 victory over the West Virginia Mountaineers on Saturday at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. It was a nice, solid win for Kansas State as the Wildcats continue to play really good football. They've now won 4 in a row to move to 7-3 on the season and 4-3 in Big 12 play. Baylor comes to Bill Snyder Family Stadium on Saturday for a 4:30 kick. Then the Wildcats will wrap up their regular season the Friday after Thanksgiving, so just in less than 2 weeks, by going to Texas against a beleaguered bunch of Longhorns who just lost to Kansas. Insert laugh soundtrack right here. Okay, I didn't insert the laugh track. And standing by in just a moment, and we'll bring him in, is my co-host for the Post-Game Review Podcast, Mr. Brien Hanley. He lives down in Texas. He is our football analyst at GoPowercat.com. And, of course, Brien was a starting offensive lineman on the 97 and 98 Kansas State teams, Michael Bishop and company. And he knows a little bit about football, and I bet you he will say K-State's playing pretty well and the offensive line's kicking butt. But I'll ask him that in a little bit. As I mentioned, we are sponsored by Caddyshack Golf. Caddyshack Golf, wear caddy with 2 T's. Visit caddyshackgolf.com for all of your officially licensed Golfing Willie apparel, accessories, and more. Use code GPC for free shipping on your next order. And now let's bring in our football analyst, Brien Hanley, after the Kansas State takes apart, maybe that's a little too firm on my description, West Virginia on Saturday at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. The final score, 34-17. K-State looked pretty good from the start, but Brien, we were texting, or maybe it was via Twitter actually, during the game, stop being conservative in the first half. Open that game up. It was like K-State was so afraid. They had a lead. They didn't want to make a mistake. And they just kind of sat on it a little bit, and it was 17-3. Sure, it's a 2-touchdown lead, but West Virginia's too good to think they're not going to make a run at you, and that's kind of what happened.
Correct. Yeah, it was just frustrating because I thought we could have put the gas pedal down and just stomped on them. We had them down. It could have just beat them down. And I, like you said, I get not wanting to make a mistake. I 100% understand that. But you know what? At some point, you got to trust your guys. And I think we have really good guys to make good decisions. So we got to trust that. But overall, though, outstanding football game. Just an outstanding football game. Guys playing well. We're playing well. You know, it's really good to see, man, where things are coming together. The team's playing really good football right now.
They just believe in themselves, don't they? You could just see it in their demeanor. This team is so much more confident now than they were 3-4 weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see how the things are coming together, and it's kind of like, hey, you know what? This is cool. We see what's happening here. Guys are flying around on defense. Guys are knocking people off the ball on offense. It's good to see. And the confidence level, like you said, you get a couple things to go your way. I've gone back to it, and I'll keep going back to it. The second half against Texas Tech has turned our season around. And whether Texas Tech is a good football team or not, and they just beat Iowa State, it turned our season around. The guys are just playing with their heads in the cloud, and it's just real good to see. Like I said, it's really good football that's being played right now.
Yeah, it's incredible. They are in the last 7 quarters, which would be the second half of Texas Tech and the 3 games since then, they've given up 39 points.
Yeah.
And that's a little more than about 7.5 points a quarter. That's winning football. Well, that's not even right. 7.5 points something. I'm totally screwing up. I don't even know my math, but it is really good. They're playing just really sound football, and it's fun to see. It really is fun to see a team that kind of clicks on all cylinders, and they did. They had special teams going. The offense went from the get-go, and maybe that's I'm not saying this to defend Courtney Messiaen, but the run game works so flawlessly on that opening drive. They just cruised up the field and scored a touchdown. He had to think that we can get back to that, and he kept running it. And, eventually West Virginia adjusted and took it away by middle of the second quarter, and they were just running into a wall. But, boy, that offense came out and clicked, and then you get the block punt that is a scoop and score touchdown. I'm telling you what, it's been a long time since I've seen a scoop and score on a block punt because blocking punts is hard now. Everyone's defending it differently, and K-State, by God, found a breach in how they were protecting their punter, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah. K-State, again, obviously special teams is something that's gone way, way back that we do really well and put an emphasis on it. But the way that things are blocked nowadays, it almost makes it impossible to block a punt. We were able to do it. Special teams is something that we hadn't scored on in a while. It's been well. Don't get me wrong. It's been good. Just what hasn't been something that we've scored on. We did again this game. It's just everything was clicking. The guys are playing good football, man. What else can I say?
Yeah. I noticed something in this game that is going to be something I assume we're going to see for many games to come. It's that West Virginia was so committed to not letting Felix and Udike Uzama sack their quarterback and let someone else do it. They had him double teamed with a third guy keeping an eye on him, and then lo and behold, Eli Huggins or Daniel Green or someone else would get to the quarterback. You take away something, you're giving up something. That's one of the Bill Snyder things. You can stop anything you want to as long as you know what committing those resources means and what you're giving up. And that's kind of what West Virginia decided. We're going to not let this guy take over the game. And other people stepped up for K-State's defense, which is a wonderful sign.
A wonderful sign. Couldn't have said it better. And that's exactly what you want. Basically, it's a sign of a good defense. That's truly the sign of a good defense. You have an outstanding player that they're paying a lot of attention to. They take him away, and they did. And that's what they're going to do. Then other people have to step up. Really good defenses, that's what they do. Is other guys step up and say, oh, you're going to block me with one guy? Well, I'm going to beat this one-on-one block. I'm just going to beat it. I'm better than whoever is blocking me. I'm going to get out there and make a play. And that's literally what happened. It was great to see guys flying around. They were having some fun on Saturday, Fitz.
Yeah, they were. They really were. Eli Huggins, after the game, noted the fact that it was one of the rare times this season as a nose tackle he's had a single block, that the guard had to go take care of Felix, and he was left unblocked or with one guy, and he said it was such a relief. He was not going to get past him. He had to get past him. One of the guys that's quietly, well, maybe not quietly after Saturday, been very significant for this K-State defense that honestly we don't talk about enough of is Rush Yeast. This kid came in. He transferred from Louisville. He's been a mainstay in the secondary now at one of the safety spots. He had a interception on a drive and broke up, really made a great adjustment on a well-designed play by West Virginia and broke up a pass that was caught. I mean, we have a photo of it. The ball is in the receiver's hands and he knocked it out. He's just been so good on the back end. It's allowing the pass rush to do a lot more. But, boy, if that's what you can get out of the transfer portal if you're K-State, go find some more of that.
Absolutely. I've said it before, and I made even a podcast about it, is transfer portal can be our friend. I know people look at it as, well, we're not going to have, K-State guys, and we're not going to, the rich keep getting richer. And I'm like, look, use it to your advantage. If the rich get richer and some program's going to take from us, then you know what? We got to take from somebody else. It's just the way that recruiting is going right now. And if we can get guys like that can keep that are going to be making plays on the back end, that is great. Because that guy, I watched him at Louisville. Like, as you know, I'm a diehard Louisville fan. I grew up there. I watched him there. I watched his father play. he's a good football player, just a good football player.
Yeah, and he's been a good fit, too. He's
yes.
kind of just really fit right into the locker room, like all the transfer portal guys. I don't know what they're doing in the transfer portal system of evaluating players, but they're doing a lot of evaluation on quality of character, and they have brought in guys that have really meshed well with this team. And that's got to be difficult to find guys, A, that can help you on the field and also won't disrupt the locker room. Because, Brien, as we look around the landscape of college football and we see teams like Texas struggling and Clemson losing and having their battles, I can't help but to think that the introduction of the NIL has disrupted locker rooms all around the country and brought in an element that college coaches have never faced before.
Right. Absolutely. It's one of those things where you got to have high character guys because the NIL is out there. And for me, I'm a proponent of it. Obviously, I was a player, so I think it's a good thing. And I'll always say that. On the flip side of it, it can bring in a bad element. I shouldn't say it does. It can bring in a bad element. So you need high character guys on your team to be able to understand that and deal with it. And I know what some people sometimes say, Fitz, is that, well, you can't have a whole team full of high character guys. And that's not necessarily true. I understand you need some guys that have edge to it, and you do. You need some guys that have an edge to them. But that doesn't mean that those guys still aren't high-character guys. Right. There's a huge difference, and I think people misunderstand that. And out of the transfer portal, I think one thing that we do well is because to be able to get guys, obviously there's some conversations that have to be made with other coaches. You know, you can't just, you're looking at a guy, you get a guy. I think to be able to fit in here, you have to have a conversation with another coach and say, hey, what is this guy about? He's leaving. What's he about? Does he do this? Does he do that? And I think maybe that's where we're having we are doing a good job of evaluating is having conversations with coaches and saying, hey, will he fit in? What's he do? I mean, those are things that you have to do. I mean, there's going to be some misses. So I don't want to think that, it's just everything is just gravy because it won't be. You're going to have misses. You have recruiting misses, though, too. So it's just the way, it works out. It's just how college football works.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's just how college football works, literally. And I think we're doing a good job of having those conversations with other coaches and not even just necessarily their high school or their college coach. They can go back to their high school coach. Hey, they went to XYZ University. Why didn't it work out there? Talk to their high school coach or whoever. Find out why. Because usually they'll know and they'll tell you. This is what he went there. He shouldn't have went there. It didn't work out because of this, and this. But he will work out here because of. I think the coaches are doing a great job with that.
Yeah, it's not about being a guy that goes along to get along. Just going to say whatever. No. Michael Bishop was well-liked in that locker room when you played for Kansas State, but he demanded winning. He did. He was a leader, a forceful leader in the huddle, in the locker room.
He was. He absolutely was. He demanded winning. He demanded everybody give their best effort. He wasn't a go along, like kind of what you said. He wasn't that person. It was, look, we're trying to win something here. And either you can be a part of it or you can not be a part of it. And if you're not going to be a part of it, I don't want you to play. It's not that I don't like you. It's not personal, but I'm trying to win while we're playing. So I need people that want to win as bad as I want to win. And there's zero wrong with that. Zero.
Exactly. And, it goes the other way. You can lose some quality guys going out the portal if they don't see the playing time they'd like. And I'm going to be honest here. I'm getting a little worried about Joe Irvin not seeing the ball enough. He's stuck behind Deuce Vaughn. I don't think Joe's saying he should be playing ahead of Deuce Vaughn if he's upset. But he only had 9 carries in the game for a total of 31 yards. He did have the first touchdown of the game, but Deuce had 25 carries. I just feel like Joe Irvin could get the ball more, but you got to give the ball to Deuce. How do you balance that out, Coach?
Well, I mean, look, it's kind of what you said. It's not that anybody's wanting to leave or we think that anybody's going to leave, but that we're in a different day and age where guys want to play. And Joe has proven, and he has proven, that he can play at this level and play well at this level. But there just happens to be somebody that's ahead of him. It's just the way that it works. I mean, you can't not give it to somebody because you're trying to feed somebody. That's how teams lose. I mean, I'll just flat out tell you, that's how teams get beat. You look at these running back combinations that have happened over the years in college football. There's always a number one guy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that number one guy is the guy that's going to be even a better pro. You looked at OU. Remember when OU had Joe Mixon and Pirine? Well, Pirine was the number one guy while they were both there. Yeah. But now that they're in the pros, Joe Mixon is far and away a better pro than he was. So it just, it's, what are you going to do? You got to play the guy that's going to do the things that are going to benefit your program and win college football games. That's just the way that it has to be. Somebody's going to get more carries than somebody else. Everything isn't balanced. But you know what? We're not playing in everything is equal type of a sport. That's not what college football is. That's not what sports are in general. Everything isn't equal. So, it's just the way that it is. I feel bad. Should he get the ball more? Yes. But should he get the ball more in the detriment to the team? The answer to that is no.
Well, it is going to be interesting to see how some of this shakes out. And it is an era in which players can just say, the heck with it, I can find better elsewhere, and get up and leave without, honestly, enough thought. Right. And for the life of me, unless something's going catastrophically wrong within the locker room, I don't know why players are quitting in midseason to go into the transfer portal. I don't get it.
Absolutely insane.
It's a bad look, and you're missing out on playing games and getting better. And I think that just sends a message right there that this guy really is in it too much for himself. And that bugs me a lot, and maybe too much. Maybe I'm just being an old fart.
No, I don't think it's that. But my thing is, if guys are like that, number one, on the team that you follow, then you don't want them anyway.
Right.
So to me, I'm fine with it. If guys want to quit on the team that I'm on, the team that I root for, and they don't want to be there, and again, guys inside the locker room, if they don't want to get better or keep playing, and maybe you're not getting everything that you think you deserve, it is what it is. But at some point, we have to be rid of that element and move on to people that want to buy into what we're doing. Because you're trying to win football games. You're trying to build a program. You're trying to do a lot of things, whatever way that you're trying to do them. And you can't have people trying to hold you back. So I don't think it has anything to do with what you're saying as far as being an old fart Fitz. I really don't. It's, hey, if you don't want to be there, then just don't be there. And you won't be part of the program. But at the same time, having people quit during I don't even know why you would want to do that. I mean, I'm playing football, and then all of a sudden, well, you know what? I'm not playing as much as I want, so I'll play none. What sense does that make?
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. I just don't know.
Hold on, Brien. Let's take a little pause right there as we take a break on the Powercat Postgame Review Podcast. We're sponsored by Caddyshack Golf, and we will continue after this, breaking down Kansas State's win over West Virginia, and we're going to take a peek around the Big 12 because it was an interesting weekend of football in the conference. How about those Longhorns? We'll talk about that after this break.
GoPowercat.com's Powercat Podcast continues after this short break.
Picture this nightmare scenario. You're hosting friends for the big game. It's neck and neck in the fourth quarter, and suddenly you realize you're out of drinks. You start to sweat. Your friends start to turn on you. You're forced to go on a last-second drink run and end up missing the game-winning touchdown while in line. Terrifying, isn't it? Luckily, you can avoid the drama with Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. With Drizzly, you can shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits, then get them delivered right to your watch party. Compare prices across multiple stores in your area, find the best deals on game day drinks, and get back to armchair quarterbacking from, you guessed it, your armchair. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
So I'm a father of one. I gotta find a babysitter. I found Care.com and I was blown away. Through the platform, I was able to find local and experienced candidates along with their reviews and rates, which were way more affordable than I anticipated. Care.com really put me at ease knowing that they were all required to go through a background check. If you're like me and you need to find someone reliable for your childcare necessities, check out Care.com. Find the ideal sitters for your childcare needs.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast. Now, let's return to the GPC studios.
Welcome back to the Powercat Postgame Review Podcast. I am Tim Fitzgerald, and I'm joined by Mr. Brien Hanley, former Kansas State offensive lineman in 97 and 98, and one of our football analysts here at GoPowercat. We are sponsored by Caddy Shack Golf. For K-Staters, by K-Staters, jackets, hats, polos, t-shirts, golf accessories. Caddy Shack Golf, wear caddy with 2 T's. Visit caddyshackgolf.com. Use code GPC for free shipping on your next order. Well, let's talk about Skylar Thompson, because I didn't feel like he was as sharp as he has been. He had a couple balls dropped that probably should have been interceptions. He looked a little hesitant. Maybe it was the play calling. Maybe he could tell that they were so worried about him making a mistake. He was thinking about it. He was over-processing. But by golly, when they needed a 4th down conversion in that 4th quarter, he threw an absolute NFL pass down the seam, right down the hash marks to Sammy Wheeler for a 1st down. That might have saved the day. It might have, if West Virginia gets the ball back, they're only down a touchdown there. Maybe they come back and tie it up. But nope, he threw a perfect ball at the perfect time. And it just seems to be something he's doing more of now, making that play when you really need it.
Yeah, he's doing it. He didn't have a great game on Saturday, but he did. When the time came for him to make a play, he made the play. That's the difference. He didn't play great. Everybody, I mean, if you watch the football game, you could see that and understand that he didn't. However, you can play horrible, but if you make the plays that we need you to make in the time that we need you to make them, all of that can be forgiven and forgotten. So, I don't think he by far didn't play horrible, because he didn't. I'm not trying to say that he played horrible. I thought he played okay. You know, he played okay, but again, well, you take okay and then it elevates to good, because he, again, made the plays when we needed him to make it. So I think he just has to get better. I think what you mentioned is key, though, Fitz. They got to trust him a little bit more. Yeah. Trust him a little bit more to make the plays. You know, we're on the cusp of something really, really special. Let him make the plays. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. Okay, then fine. But at some point, we've got to just, because it will come back to bite us. I'm telling you, this whole offense, putting in just the deep freeze, is going to end up coming back to bite us, because just continuously having 3 and outs, our defense is playing lights out football, but they will get tired. They're human beings. It happens. Yep. We just got to put our foot down and put somebody in the ground when we have that opportunity. Got to do it.
Skylar Thompson was 14 and 19 passing the ball for only 138 yards, 1 touchdown. He was sacked once. His long was 35 yards, and it was that Sammy Wheeler pass on a 4th and 8 at the 39, and he threw a 35-yard pass that put the ball at the 4. It was game-changing, and that kind of play can be game-changing if it's in the first quarter. It was so definitive, like, hey, I know we're going to throw the ball down the field, but I'm still going to do it, and I found this guy. That's an impressive throw for Skylar, and I think that's a really positive sign that when the game was on the line, he said, hell yeah, I'm going to make that throw, and he didn't hesitate. Because the second you hesitate, I don't care what sport you're playing, when you hesitate, you're screwed. You're done.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And I know you've been calling for it for weeks. I've been calling for it for weeks. The tight end is going to be open down the middle. And by golly, when we needed a play, that's exactly what they did. I jumped out of my chair. I was screaming so loud. Loved it.
Yeah, it was. And I think it's there and available. Maybe that's what Courtney Messingham's going to keep holding back. He's going to keep holding that back and play that card when he really needs it, because he's done it a couple times now. He did it against, Southern Illinois, where he had the long pass from Will Howard to Amada Bebe. And, that's good. They've got a couple really good receiving tight ends. And Nick Lenners went down and had a really crucial catch in this game when Skylar was under a lot of pressure, needed a receiver, and Nick made the play. And that was really good, because I think his confidence as a receiver has been dented by a couple drops.
A little bit.
Offensively, I mentioned Deuce and Joe Irvin in the first part of the show. Deuce Vaughn is so good, though. You've got to keep him on the field. They threw him the ball only twice in this game. They targeted him 3 times. I feel like you can leave him on the field. And maybe we've discussed this every time, but get him and Joe on the field together. They're doing some things that even though they're winning, I'm still not fully grasping.
I don't know we're deep into the season at this point. It's time to empty the playbook. That's right. So it's time to empty the playbook. So, we don't need to hold anything back. They can absolutely be on the field at the same time. Take advantage of what you have. We have 2 really good running backs. We just do. So take advantage of it. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that you have to take Deuce off the field, because I think sometimes they substitute too much, Fitz, that we'll be in a rhythm. We're running the ball. They run it 2 or 3 times, and then you take them out. And I'm like, I don't know that you need to take a guy out in that situation, a running back. He's got in a groove. I don't know that you necessarily need to do that. Guys, a lot of times, let a running back run. Let him have 4 or 5, 6 carries, whatever the case may be, and then make it not after 2. I just don't think you need to do that. And I think sometimes we get into a pattern of just subbing because maybe we think we need to or something of that nature. I think we just have to do a better job at utilizing the talent. I know we're winning games, so I'm not trying to be too critical because things are working, but I know that it can be better. I know that it can be.
Okay, give me the Brien Hanley offensive line breakdown for this game. What did you see from the Cats?
Destruction. We were pushing people around at the line of scrimmage. That's all it was. I'd like to be able to go into a big diatribe and big technical what they did. It's not necessary. They literally were moving people off the line of scrimmage. And if you're going to do that, then you're going to win football games. It's just plain and simple. They were moving guys off the line of scrimmage. They protected well, a lot of guys moving their feet. I know we got a holding penalty here and there, and I don't know that all of them were actually not necessary, but, I should say they deserve them, whatever the case may be. But offensive line just bullied them. And West Virginia is supposed to have a great front 7, and they did, and they made adjustments. But I think we got in our way as far as not being able to run it, and maybe a lot in the second half when we wanted to or needed to, whatever the case may be. We got in our way, but the offensive line pushed them around, man.
I think West Virginia got really frustrated. It led to one of the worst targeting penalties I've seen.
Oh, my goodness.
That's what targeting's supposed to be.
Yes.
Not this parsing. If you've got to parse it and try to decide whether or not he made enough contact with the helmet, again,
correct.
It's not targeting if you got to think about it. That was correct. Targeting.
Yes.
He pinned his arms
literally
back
what it was.
And thrusted his helmet into his helmet. I wish the Big 12 would look at those and say, you know what? The rules say you're only out for this period. You're out a whole game because
that's right.
You should be held accountable for that. I don't know about the late hit on the sideline. It was pretty iffy. But still, it happened again. And then really the one that bothered me in this game was the chop block on Spencer Trussell. And I don't know his status. I don't know if he is injured and not coming back from that. But I don't know what Neil Brown was bitching about. He was arguing with the official. It was about as obvious as you could get.
Correct.
He got cut at the knees as he was going inside. The guard picked him up. Granted, it's circumstance. They didn't plan to double team him, but they certainly did. And in exactly the way the rule's trying to prevent you from doing it, they bent his leg right over the top of the lineman that cut his knees. It was ugly.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe the coach is frustrated or not, but maybe he didn't see it. I don't know. But I know it was blatant. I know as an offensive lineman, I know exactly what it was. I mean, that's the total definition of a post and chop. And I don't care if they meant to do it or what. It happened, right. And so you have to, I don't know. To me, I thought it was dirty, and I have no problem saying that. And I don't care if the kids meant to do it or not. They know not to do that. I mean, you're coached not to do that. So it's not a matter of you not knowing or anything like that. You're literally coached not to do that. So it was unnecessary. The play on the sideline, it was a little light, but again, unnecessary. Didn't have to happen.
Right.
And like you said, it happened again. Our guys are must be saints, but I can tell you right now, the third week in a row, there would have been a fist fight if I were out there playing. You're just not going to do that to my quarterback. And I'm not saying that the guys are soft or anything. That's not what I'm saying. They just have better composure than what I would have because you just can't keep doing those kinds of things. And I know it's a different age right now. I really, really do. So it's just, to me, it's starting to get on my nerves a little bit that it just keeps happening.
I loved Noah Johnson on that play when Skyler went over the bench, and he's on the West Virginia side. Noah Johnson is over there with his quarterback within seconds. I mean, it was amazing to watch how fast the offensive lineman got to protect his quarterback. But, I picked up the sense of some real frustration on West Virginia's part that was manifesting itself in unfortunate and ugly ways, which is often a sign of you're having problems with your team. And they're now 4-6, and I think they're having some problems over there because I thought they'd be better.
Well, I did too. I thought they would be better. But, sometimes, though, you can – pin the frustrations, on to somebody. And I think that's what we did. We physically whipped them. And when you physically get whipped, then you turn to whatever you want to turn to. So I thought our guys, that's just what they did. They physically put our will on them and didn't allow for them to do the things that they really wanted to do. And I think that just the frustration just bowled over because I believe West Virginia thought they were going to come to Manhattan and win the football game.
I agree.
Not that everybody doesn't believe that. I'm just saying I thought that West Virginia thought they had a better team and they were going to just come in and bully us like they did last year. And it was literally the exact opposite.
Let's talk about a few other topics, and I've got to ask you because I imagine you watched some of it. Texas losing to Kansas. Brien, it shouldn't be possible. It shouldn't be possible. I'm not sure there's a player on the KU roster that breaks the depth chart at Texas.
Nope. I told you they quit, though. Remember I told you? I said Texas had quit, and they literally have quit. That was ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Well, they get to go to West Virginia this weekend, a battle of 2 4-6 teams. The winner stays in contention for bowl eligibility. Wow. And the loser is done. And if you're K-State, you hope West Virginia wins so that Texas literally has nothing to play for in 13 days when K-State goes down to Austin on the Friday after Thanksgiving and plays that team. I don't know what we'll see from Texas, but what I saw on Saturday against Kansas, first of all, congratulations to Kansas. You made the plays. You made it happen. I'm not dismissing your win because Texas didn't care. You had to go do it, and you did it. And I don't know how you converted that 2-point play at the end, but it worked, and it summed it up for me that a chubby fullback from Plainville, Kansas, caught the ball in the Texas end zone to beat all of those 4- and 5-star kids that think they're entitled to something that they're not entitled to.
I loved every second of it. And again, you know me, I cared nothing about Kansas. I don't care anything about them. But you know what? I was cheering. And even my wife kind of gave me the side eye as we were watching the game. And I go, April, I don't care. And it's not that I despise Texas. I just despise what they stand for. Bingo. That's what it is.
Bingo.
It's what they stand for, man. And Kansas, they're out there fighting. They're not good. They don't have great players, but they were fighting. They made it happen, won the game. And you know what? Texas fans are not going to be happy. They got enough money. They lose out, they may fire Sarkisian and have a booster just buy out his contract and say, I'm done with him. I go, this guy's got to go. They're not opposed to that. And to be honest with you, I mean, sometimes you can see things, sometimes you cannot, but Texas wasn't this bad last year. They just won, and they didn't quit like they did, like they already have. And who knows? And they asked him a question after the game. I don't know if you heard it or not. They asked him about, have you lost the messaging in the locker room? And the coach's response was, well, you'll have to ask them. And I'm like,
the answer is yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm like, if that's your answer, then the answer is yes. And that's trouble. I mean, if for a coach to give that kind of response, that's trouble. I'm like, how as a player, how do you even respond to that? How do you even look up to the coach if he's saying, well, you got to ask them if they've lost? Oh, my goodness. I thought, boy, this is a train wreck. I mean, this is literally the definition of a train wreck.
And I love it. I love it because they shouldn't have fired Tom Herman, but they thought they could do better. And now they've dialed back the clock further than he ever had it dialed. And they're starting over as they're getting ready to head to the SEC. The ongoing arrogance and entitlement at Texas just blows my mind. But I have also come to the conclusion that there's something systematically wrong with how football players are put on a pedestal at Texas. Something's going on where these guys don't think they need to work as hard as everyone else. I'm not saying they don't work, but I don't think they get how hard even a KU's working. I just think they feel like I was a 5-star. They get a lot of 5-stars, and I don't have to work as hard because I'm better than everyone else. And, brother, you're not. When you get on the college football field, that Deuce Vaughn, he was 3 stars. Nobody really wanted him, and you can't catch him.
Nope. And here's the thing, Tim, is just I played at college, and again, it was a long time. It was over 20 years ago. Having said that, football is still football. You still have to work hard. You still got to put in the time. You still got to lift the weights. You got to run the sprints. All of that is all the same, and it will continue to be the same when it comes to that. When you get on a football field, you have to be working together. If you're not working together, it just doesn't work. It's not like basketball. Basketball, you can hate each other, but if you got a guy that's so much better than everybody else, you can win. It just works that way. Not on a football field. It doesn't work. And you continuously bring in these 4- and 5-star guys, but if they don't work and they're not doing the things to get better, then and you just think about it. You bring in a guy and maybe he's 17, 18, 19 years old against a 22-year-old guy or a 23-year-old guy that's working his tail off. Well, which one would you rather want? And then that's an easy answer. So, and that's, I think, is what's happening at Texas, is that they're bringing in these guys. They're not working as hard as what they need to. They get a few that do, but you need more than that. You got to buy into a program, but they haven't given them an opportunity to buy in yet. You know, you keep flipping coaches every, 3 years. You don't give a guy enough time to do and set the groundwork for what they're trying to do. I mean, it's impossible in 3 years' time. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. Item 2 I want to talk to you about, Baylor beating Oklahoma and looking like the better team for most of the day. It wasn't one of those fluky things. They just looked better prepared and more hungry. And Oklahoma really facing a tough challenge, not for the first time. They've been in a lot of close games this year. That's been a problem with Oklahoma. But knowing that we may not be good enough to come back and beat this team, it looked like they panicked. And I don't know what to say about Baylor. They just lost to TCU. They beat Oklahoma. They're coming to Manhattan. I'm not sure what to expect, but I know this. That was one hell of an effort by those kids in Waco to knock off Oklahoma. And we are staring at the possibility of having maybe like Baylor and Oklahoma State in that title game. K-State's going to have something to say about that. But now Baylor has the tiebreaker on Oklahoma. We'll see if they need that. But I was impressed with Baylor, and it's going to be a heck of a task for the Wildcats.
Well, I recorded the game because obviously it was on at the same time. So I recorded the game, went back and looked at it, and Baylor just beat Oklahoma up front. They just physically whipped them up front. So they were the more physical football team. They just literally smashed OU. Kind of what our O-line smashed OU's too. So, I mean, our O-line pushed OU's around too. And that's literally what happened in this football game. The difference is that the quarterback for OU, they harassed him. He wasn't accurate. It was first game, playing with a little adversity, coming in when you're so far down against Texas. It's easy to play then because you're playing carefree. The game gets tight, in a game that you're not playing well in. And how do you deal with it? He couldn't deal with it. And again, they got whipped up front. So if you get whipped up front and your quarterback's rattled, that's a problem. And then, of course, the coach panics, and then he brings in another guy to play quarterback for a little while. I'm like, it was just a bad deal all the way around. Baylor's a football team. So Baylor's just good. They are. And they play physical. They're a carbon copy of what we do. They want to run it. They want to stop you on defense, not let you run the football. They want to run the football. They got some good athletes, so it's going to be a real test because they're a good football team, really good.
It's going to feel like throwback football. Two run-first teams based on offensive line and solid defense. Oh, my God, I'm going to love this game. This is my football.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait. Cannot wait.
And we will have plenty to say about that later in the week when we do the Powercat pregame podcast as K-State plays Baylor at 4:30. What a weird time on Saturday at Bill Snyder Family Stadium. I've got to look up what FS1 has on their docket. It's obviously not college football, auto racing, something that is throwing out a wacky kickoff time is 4:30, but it'll be interesting because it gets dark now. They've changed the time, Brian, and I don't like it. It is about 5:30. It's dark, and look, I'm old, but I want some more daylight than that. I don't understand. Well, Brian, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It was a wacky weekend in Big 12 football. Well, we didn't even talk about Iowa State and Texas Tech. That just baffles me.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my mind. I guess my fear now is Texas will fire Sark right before they play Kansas State, and they'll get that fire to coach boost that's going around the Big 12 right now, which I can't explain. But we'll see what happens.
Iowa State, Matt Campbell, not good. All this hype, best team they're supposedly ever have. Yep. And, I mean, they're going to end up losing 5 games. How good a coach do you want them? USC, if you want them, you can have them.
Yep, I'm a little befuddled by the inconsistency Iowa State has showed this year with that roster and that level of experience. I don't get it, and I'm just going to say it, folks. I think it's time to put a hold on putting Matt Campbell into the College Football Hall of Fame. We're just going to have to see. We're going to have to see.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you very much. K-State beats West Virginia 34-17 on Saturday, heading into Baylor. K-State's now just a mere 7-3, 4-3 in the conference after winning 4 in a row. The Wildcats are rolling. Can they roll through the Bears? Well, we will talk about that later in the week. I'm Fitz, and this has been the Powercat Postgame Review Podcast with my friend Brien Hanley. We will talk to you real soon.
Thank you for listening to the Powercat Podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts. Powercat Podcast, all rights reserved, GoPowercat.com.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.